What's going on, everybody? We are here inside because we kind of made the executive decision today to not go live outside in the cold and balmy weather that is Charlotte, North Carolina right now. It is currently 20 degrees outside in this hotel that we are in right now. And by the way, thank you to the Marriott for allowing us to go live here today. It is a nice and comfortable, like 70 degrees. It was we stand by the fireplace here. But nevertheless,
singing Christmas carols.
Yeah, here on Christmas Eve. So much going on right now. I totally forgot that today is indeed Christmas Eve.
Yeah, so happy holidays to everybody out there. Merry Christmas. And it wasn't an executive decision. God made that decision long before we got here.
Right.
I was not going to be outside.
Mother Nature made that decision for us today.
There's no way that we could have been outside doing this show. And we were talking about it on the drive up. Check out our Twitter if you guys have not done so already. We took a picture of what the scene looked like, and it looked like today is already Christmas and there's no game because it was pretty empty everywhere outside today. And I can't say if you decided to stay at home today, excuse me, that I blame you for staying at home because how could you sit in that seat that's already plastic?
Right, it's already cold.
And already cold for like 3 hours or so to watch a game. And this Christmas time is your family's here. It's a tough one.
Well, and the other part of it too is like if you are at that part of the stadium where you get no sunlight whatsoever,
that's the opposite side.
The opposite side of the field. Oh boy, I think you made a pretty sound decision today to stay at home because it is quite cold outside. The weather, we have not seen temperatures this cold since like 2018, but this is some unprecedented circumstances that we're dealing with.
Coldest
right now.
Game ever
in Panthers home history.
Will be taking place today, and you will be there for it.
Yeah.
We're going to be indoors. Let's get some shout outs. We're going to have this is possibly, we didn't talk about it, so I don't want you to get emotional on camera, Andre, but this is the grand finale. This is the last.
That's right.
This is the last definite home game that we will have this season.
Of the regular season.
Of the regular season. You've been joining me for all the home games, so I want to say I appreciate you joining me. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. Hope to continue to do so in the future, but thank you for joining Charlotte Vibe for this 2022 season. It's been like this, and now it's
just
cold
a
as can be.
roller coaster of emotions. But I mean, this has been a treat. You have been an amazing mentor. You've been an amazing supportive friend as well.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you've been following, this whole week. People of Twitter have been wondering what the whole situation is with your tree. Yeah, because I know you said something about it, right? I don't know if you want to give them an update or not.
I'm going to give them an update. My good friend Andre here let me know that he was out and about and said, hey, there's a tree if you can get over here quickly and get it. And so the Jenkins family, especially Mrs. Jenkins, is very happy because we have a tree in our house as of about 7 o'clock last night.
Okay.
We were able to put it up, and so the wife's very happy. We have a tree. Thank you so much
absolutely.
for
and
giving us that tip.
I saw the pictures and everything, all decorated and everything.
Yeah.
It looks phenomenal. So luckily, you were able to find one, and thankfully from the forces above, somebody was able to grant you that opportunity to get you a Christmas tree in time for Christmas today.
Yeah, so let's get some shout-outs here because we're gonna talk to the people today as we get them ready for this game.
Senpai Casey?
I don't. There you go.
Sure, we'll go with that.
There you go.
What's going on, man?
Jukesville owns Landman. He says at the game.
All right.
Yeah. So again, we as Andre said, shouts out to the Marriott because they allowed us to broadcast from their whatever you want to call this space is that we're in right now.
We're making it happen with the limited space that we have, but I think it's just enough space.
Yeah.
We kicked out some people who are over here.
Well, it wasn't some people.
It was some people.
They were dressed up
in an elf outfit.
And
too.
What did she have on?
I don't remember. I just remember the elf outfit.
And they looked good.
They did, yeah, and they looked pretty warm. So I guess they'll be headed to the game today. But yeah, thank you to the wonderful people here at the Marriott. They're chilling out in the lobby there, but they have hooked us up today because that would have been a pretty poor decision to be out there outside.
It wasn't going to happen, guys. I was not going to have them out there. And Jukesville, he says he's at the game wearing like 7 layers.
Okay, that's smart.
You got to.
Better than none, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to predict that the stadium is not going to be too full today. And I hope nobody out there goes and say, these fans of the Carolina Panthers. Number one, you're in a southern city, southern state, right? That's why a lot of us live here. It's like the climate is not like Tampa, but it's a warm enough place where you still get all 4 seasons.
It's a happy medium,
right? You get the winter, but you don't get freezing. You don't get snow all the time, but you get all 4 seasons. We're not used to like
single digits.
And I don't know if you guys saw this morning. I get in my car, head down to the studio before I come to the stadium, and I go to get a sip of drink out my cup. I don't feel like I said that right, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. And it was frozen completely, like a block of ice. And it's still just now started to defrost a little bit, but it was still. So it's cold out here. Come out at your own risk.
And be prepared if you do decide to do that. Be smart with your decisions today if you're out and about.
Look at this. Now, this name here is my mom, who's in town right now.
Okay.
She says she's a big fan of yours. She didn't get to meet you. Mom, we're at the Marriott by the stadium in case you're able to come
down and say what's up, right?
Yeah. But
well, I am a big fan of you, too, for giving me the opportunity to hang out with your son for this entire season. So this has been a pretty fun experience, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the extended Jenkins family, if you will, right?
You know what? I'm just going to put you on the spot here. You're invited back next year.
Okay.
You're invited to continue. I want you to continue to be standing next to me. I know we might have to go into the negotiation.
Right.
You might be a holdout, might not report to camp or something as we try to get things together. But hopefully,
I'm going to have to talk with my agent about that one, okay?
Yeah. Hey, as long as you don't do a no-show. Right. Get on that list that we're going to talk about here. But let's continue to go through a few more of these comments.
And keep leaving those comments, by the way, everybody. Thank you for everything.
They are there looking good. Yes, we are here. Ali Broderick says, welcome back, fellas.
What is going on? Nice seeing you again, my man.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to come back to the comments here. Please continue to leave your comments. We will get to each and every one of them. But we have a little show that we prepared for you so that you can watch the game today and know what you're talking about, right?
Be a little informed about what's happening today.
Yeah. So we're going to get this in front of me because I don't have my list up yet. Who goes first? Is it me or you?
I think it's me today.
Is it you? If it's
going to go over transactions, right?
Well, if you got your list and it says you go first, go for it because I haven't found my list yet.
Let me get reoriented here, too, because I'm a little all over the place myself. But, let's go over some of the transactions here. Really, there was one main one that took place over the week. Cornerback Justin Lane, who they picked up, I believe, on Wednesday. He was placed on the reserve and did not report list for the Panthers. So currently they are at 51, right? 51 players on the roster. So that's a pretty unique situation that they're in right now. So I wonder what happened, what transpired for that whole thing to go down the way that it did. Because I felt like he could have maybe played a couple of snaps today, because he's a pretty long 6'2" corner. Somebody to have, another option to have at your disposal. So it's kind of interesting to see how that transpired and how things didn't work out the way that they thought it would have.
What do you think happened? And before you even answer that, when was the last time you heard of a player not reporting?
Yeah, that's kind of odd. I don't recall a situation where something like that happened. I mean, I don't know if he thought that he had like a bye week or something. I mean, it's too late in the season for that to happen. I mean, we're just speculating at this point. I don't know if there was like a family matter, but they would have specified that if it was a personal reason. I don't know. But it was kind of odd how they worded it, too. It was very, very low-key, kind of just not a lot of elaboration on it, if you will.
So you have to think at this point, the guy has said something. Because, so I did a little research, right? Talked to a former player, because I don't know exactly. I had speculation, but I talked to a former player this morning to get some more information before I talked about it. And it's true. This is kind of what happens. If you're in the NFL, then each team has many ways to contact you. You're in the database, right? If I sign Andre, I've never spoken to him before. It doesn't matter. He's registered to the NFL. I know how to get in touch with him. I know how to get in touch with the agent, et cetera, et cetera. So you get in touch with the agent. And then you say, okay, let's make arrangements logistically for you to get to Carolina. some players, like Laviska Shenault famously did, drove from Jacksonville to North Carolina. If you're a little bit more higher profile, like let's say one Christian McCaffrey, they send out a private jet and they fly you from where you are to where you need to be and give you the whole VIP treatment right up to the door. So, and I'm sure that logistically they made arrangements, and then suddenly, hey, did anybody see?
Did anybody hear from him?
And he's like, nah. So I guess right now, as they say now, he's being ghosted by the Panthers, that he's just not showing up. And yeah, so anyway, we'll move on, but that's what happened there with Justin Lane. Let's get you up to date with these two teams that are playing today. The Carolina Panthers are currently sitting at 5-9 after falling. I'm going to use that word falling because they got beat pretty. Even though the score wasn't bad, they got manhandled by the Pittsburgh Steelers. My mom's happy about that. I'm going to let that out, Mom. That she's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So,
oh, man. They're everywhere, especially when they're winning.
Yes.
They're everywhere.
She's a fan. So we fell to the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-16. Playing today, Detroit Lions, who are arguably the hottest team in the NFL right now.
Sure are, yeah.
They currently only sit at 500, but they have won their last 6 of 7 games to get to that 500 record. They are currently 7-7 after defeating the New York Jets 20-17. And these teams, too, overall have played each other. I feel like I'm doing your part. I could not be. I don't know. Maybe it's just a cold.
Could be, right? Cold's messing with my head, too. We're not even out there right now. Control yourself, Chris. Rashad's not here today.
Right. little bit of a cough there. A little bit of a cough. Thank Mrs. Jenkins for that.
Right.
Testing the immune system. But these two teams have played each other 10 times.
Uh-huh.
You want to guess who leads? You don't know because I don't think – did you see it already?
I think I did.
Okay, well then
but I'll take my guess.
You can't honestly guess. Take it for a second.
Yeah, so Carolina does lead the series 7-3. So they played 10 times, and they have led the series 7-3. The last time we did play Detroit was a couple of years ago in the pandemic season back in 2020, and we shut them out. It was, 24-0, I believe. That was the last time that Matthew Stafford played against us in a Lions uniform. And more importantly, DJ Moore had himself a pretty good game, I must say. And that was the game, too, where P.J. Walker started.
He did?
For an injured Teddy Bridgewater.
Look at you bringing all the stats.
Right? Now, I don't remember how he played, but he did air it out a good bit. He did have some turnovers. I believe it was a 2-2 game, 2 touchdowns, 2 interception kind of game that he played. But nevertheless, they beat the Lions in their last matchup pretty handily, 24-0.
Yeah, I don't know if the elements are picking on me here, and I'm sure people are laughing like they're indoors.
Right?
And Chris is having to step off camera and all sorts of things. I am, but, that's why you're invited back next year.
Right.
It's because I can say, like, Andre, I'm dying. Be right back. And he takes over. Hold
down the fort real quick while I get myself together over
here. Just watch the teleprompter. You'll be okay. Predictions for this game today.
Oh, man.
And we're going to go later into some more low level, but at a high level, you got a prediction?
I just have to say Carolina has to win this game today. I feel like this is a must-win game. All these games coming up are going to be must-win games.
Are you predicting that the Carolina Panthers are going to win? Oh, he hesitates. He hesitates.
Hesitating, man, because Detroit has been, again, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. They were at 1-6 at one point in their season, and now they're at 500. I mean, they played it pretty close against the Jets last week, but Dan Campbell has them believing. Jared Goff. Who would have thought Jared Goff would be playing the way that he's playing right now? Mm-hmm. But he's balling over there in Detroit, and they got a lot of young players over there that are fighting and that are playing hard for their coach. And, this is the first time in a long time where Detroit is actually relevant, and they're in the picture. So they have a reason to play today as well. Same thing with Carolina. It's going to be, I hope it's a close game today, because that would be a pretty good, entertaining game to watch.
Christmas Eve, right?
But I don't want to put my mouth and my mind to it yet, because I don't want to put out the negative vibes in the air. But I don't know. This is going to be a tough game for Carolina today, because they're a pretty dang good football team right now, Detroit is.
We got some stats later on that we're going to show to back that up. Andre is unwilling to give a prediction, even though if you read between the lines there, you got his prediction. Let's look at what the picking it graphic that I love to get here. Been able to get this from the Panthers.com website lately and share with you guys. Let's see.
Oh, we're actually favored.
We are actually favored. You got 3 people, NFL.com, ESPN, and Sporting News, picking the Detroit Lions. And then you have Sports Illustrated, SB Nation, USA Today, Bleacher Report, and CBS Sports predicting the Panthers will win. So you got Panthers 4, Detroit Lions 3 in terms of the predictions there. I think the betting line earlier this week had the Detroit Lions favored.
Okay.
The betting line does. I think it's going to be a tough game. We're going to go ahead and get into that a little bit more here in a second, but I think you have the next bit of information to share with everybody today about this Carolina Panthers team so far.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So some interesting facts, as they say, right? After tallying 5 tackles on Sunday, defensive tackle Derek Brown has 56 total tackles, which is the most by any Panthers defensive tackle since K'Wan Short, after he recorded 55 tackles back in 2015, matching it in 2016 as well. So he's putting himself in some pretty unique territory, but he's been having quite a year, and the numbers are starting to show it now in terms of the amount of tackles that he's had, tackles for loss. You would like the sack numbers to be a little bit higher, I must say. I'm a little bit picky about that, but he is making an impact. He's making a name for himself, and in his, his second or third year? I believe this is
I would say you're right.
Yeah, I think
his
this
second
is
or third year.
One of those two, but he's having a pretty significant season, and I think he's poised for an even bigger breakout year coming up next season as well, as he becomes more comfortable with the NFL and the pace of the game as well.
Now, I didn't get this list in front of me, but Pro Bowl list.
Yeah.
We got one player that made it.
One player. So
Derek Brown was not one of those players.
Yeah.
He's not even a backup. I forget exactly where. And
he's not even an alternate either, is he?
Backup role he is, because I think they go down like backup to whatever they call it.
Yeah.
But Derek Brown not making a Pro Bowl, some people are disappointed in that. I think that I feel like he should have been in that talk for sure.
In the conversation,
with
right?
the kind of performance that he's had. But I feel like what's not working for him, which has not worked for this team we've talked on the show about national notoriety.
Right.
And you're just not going to get it when you're losing. Mm-hmm. Right, and he's one of these up-and-coming players, just like J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn did not make it, and if you're an up-and-coming guy on a sucky team, nobody's going to recognize you.
Yep.
It's not enough. It's a little bit of a popularity vote. It's not 100%, but it's a little bit of one. And Brian Burns, I think he was able to make it because he's been there before.
Yep.
So you already know about this guy. You're already kind of watching him because he's been on that list. This thing gets warm inside, so I'm going to turn this down.
I mean, I had mine on too, just like you, and I was like, hold up, let me turn this down a bit, right?
It's essential. You're going to see everybody with these.
Here's the thing. Let me give another shout-out, too, by the way. I've been giving a lot of shout-outs today. Shout-out to Amazon for this overnight delivery thing that they have, man. It is just unbelievable. I looked at this the other day, and there were like 5 other kinds of these that were going to be delivered after Christmas. And I'm like, hold on. No. I need this like now, and there was one available for me, and I was able to get it in yesterday morning. So shout out to Amazon for that. Just in the giving spirit today, because, it is Christmas Eve, right? So we're going to give all the shout outs that we can, and all of you who are leaving your comments as well as we transition to that later in the show. Keep leaving those comments because we want to shout you out, because we do work for you, for all of you out there. And it means a lot to us that we are seeing the kind of support that we're getting right now.
Indeed. Keep those comments coming.
So as we turn to the linebacker group, Panthers linebacker Shaq Thompson has now recorded at least 100 tackles. 100 tackles.
Triple digits.
It's pretty special right there, right? In 4 straight seasons. So he has now joined John Beeson, Thomas Davis, and the man, Luke Kuechly.
Luke.
Everywhere.
Hey, what do you think Luke's wearing today in terms of like winter?
Is he going to be there today?
Yeah, he's part of the broadcast for I forget, I think the radio part.
Yeah, so last week he was wearing a short sleeve shirt with jeans and his book bag. And this dude was walking around in like 35-degree
cold
walked out,
weather,
no jacket. Temperature. And I was telling Chris, I was like, hey, he's got to be used to this, right? Because, he went to Boston College, right? So we will update you on that and see if we can get some pictures of what he could potentially be wearing today in this below freezing air that we will be experiencing for these next couple of hours, right?
Maybe we'll ask him for a picture.
Right.
Anyway.
But yeah, nevertheless, quite the list that Shaq Thompson is joining. He's been a pretty stable member of this Panthers defense for the past couple of years. Eddie Pinheiro, talk about streaks, right?
Yeah.
He's on a very good streak right now.
I didn't put specifics because I didn't want to jinx him.
Yeah.
You know how they free throw guys in basketball, they'll jinx them. They happen as kickers too, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
So he has made, we have a 29-yarder, a 32-yarder, and a 52-yarder that he made last week in last week's game. So overall, he's 28 out of 30 for the season. So that's definitely north of 90%. So that's like the magic number that you want to have as a kicker.
Yeah.
Is the 90 percentile, which he has had. And he's really responded well, especially, and we keep bringing up the Atlanta game because that was the lowest point of his year for him right there.
That's where we remember those mists.
Right. That was probably one of the only reasons why people remembered him to begin with at that point in the year. But he has definitely responded, and we hope to see more of the same today. Now, the wind could play a factor today. I mean, it was a little breezy out there this morning, so we'll see how things go in time for in time for the kickoff, actually, to see how those conditions will affect the kicking game today.
Did you see that some of the decorations at the Jenkins household did not make it through the wind yesterday?
I did not.
You didn't see that? I'll share it with you.
I'm gonna have to see this again.
I think it was Joe Person on Twitter with The Athletic had talked about inflatables not making it, and just had to say that inflatables and also things that are not inflatables.
Oh no!
Look at that. I don't know if the camera can pick it up too well. It's probably gonna be a little hard to do there, but basically we have decorations that didn't make it.
And that win was no joke yesterday morning, too. So, I mean, unfortunately, you're going to have some casualties when it comes to stuff like that.
And the thing was staked in the ground, so that's why you see the base that was staked in the ground is the only thing that
was
could
holding
stay
it
there.
up, right?
But everything that wasn't staked down into the ground, it went away.
It just went away, and it's just a tragic situation there, right? So as we turn now to DJ Moore, who has had a respectable season, I would say, right? We'll see. He's had a couple hit or miss performances, right?
Yeah, not all his fault, but it's been not a great number year for him.
Right. Well, he had his 5th receiving touchdown of the season last week against Pittsburgh, which is actually a career high for him. 5 touchdowns on the year for him. The past 4 years, he's only had 4 touchdowns in each of his first 4 years as a Carolina Panthers. So
that seems low, man.
It does seem low.
For a number one wide receiver
guy, he gets a lot of yardage, but it's always the touchdowns, man. He never has those big, touchdown numbers that you would see with guys like Stephon Diggs or Justin Jefferson, some of these top-tier guys that just are nightmares for opposing defenses.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he adds to that number today. And, Sam Darnold and him have a pretty good rapport.
Yeah.
So that could very well be a possibility today. Hopefully he has a big game because Detroit, he always feasts against Detroit. Yeah. So who knows? This could be a fantasy-type game for him if you are following fantasy football.
Yeah.
I'd say put him in your lineup. If you want my personal
opinion. Put DJ Moore in your lineup today?
I would say,
So you're predicting a good game because of the Lions and this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope he has a good game today because we're going to need it out of him.
Yeah.
Definitely going to need it out of him today.
We will. All right, let's talk about some of the top 10 rankings that this team owns from a statistical standpoint on both the offensive side and the defensive side. This is going to be pretty quick because we don't have any on either side, on the offensive side or the defensive side.
No sugarcoating it, by the way. He just gets straight to the point when it comes to
because I want to get to these comments again. Last home game grand finale with you, so I want to make sure we have a chance to interact with Tim Tizzy and Locksmith, whoever's out there already signing in. But we did have a stat last week for the offensive side for sacks allowed. We were 10th, but even though we didn't give up a ton, I guess other teams gave up none. So we fell in that category, but that's still currently where we stayed the best is in sacks allowed offensively. We're currently tied for 13th. On the defensive side, again, no top 10 rankings there on the defensive side. Closest thing has been tied for passing net yards per game at 13. So that's where we're standing on the offensive side. I'm sorry, on the offense and defensive side. Notable connections that we do each week, we don't have any. So we'll speed right.
We don't need any.
Good.
We do not need any.
Good. So that takes us through everything that we have today and getting you guys ready. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to hit up some of these comments here.
Yeah.
See what we got going on right now. Somebody loves the cold. I like the cold, too. You guys like the fireplace?
Yeah.
Yes, you can see the fireplace.
And it's keeping us warm, too. Maybe if I step in a little bit closer, I can feel the heat from it.
You can.
But, yeah, it is definitely keeping us warm here inside of the Marriott.
All right, let's go to this one from Ali Broderick. How do you think the cold will affect the team's performance today?
Good question.
Yeah.
That is a good question. I think Carolina, regardless of the weather today, they have to reestablish the run game today. I think that is probably going to be the most imperative thing that they do today. So Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, even Raheem Blackshear as well, they're going to be getting a good deal of carries because they were just shut out last week. I mean, literally 10 yards for Chuba Hubbard, 9 yards for Foreman. I mean, that's just not going to get the job done, especially when you got a guy like Sam Darnold who needs to have the table set in order for him to perform, right? Yeah. So it's definitely going to affect it, but I think it's going to continue to make it even more of an effort for them to try and reestablish the run game because they need that to be working today.
Yeah.
And Detroit, didn't you say something about it last week? They're middle of the pack on the run defensive side of things as well?
Yeah, on their defensive side, they're not the best defense.
They're pedestrian.
They're a little bit. They're actually on the closer to the bad side than the middle of the pack on the defense and those stats. So we will certainly have that opportunity, but their offense for Detroit has been the thing that's been able to help them on that win streak. It's mostly been that offense. My comments in terms of how do I think the cold will affect the team's performance today, they're going to have to take extra measures for all the little things that go into playing football. So what happens when you're playing in weather where what's the temperature right now?
It is currently,
drum roll, meteorologist,
21 degrees.
It is not 21 degrees.
It is 21 degrees. That's what it says on my computer.
Okay. Well, Andre says it's 21 degrees, but what happens is everything gets harder. Okay, so the ball normally compresses and stuff a little bit when you're throwing it and gripping and catching it. It's not going to compress. It's going to feel a lot more like a rock today than it's ever felt before. So that could mean some problems with snaps, right? It could mean some problems with catching the ball because, again, that ball is going to feel, I think it's normally, I forget how much a ball normally weighs. Do you know by any chance?
Like 12 pounds?
So it's probably going to feel more like 16 pounds or something like that. It's going to feel heavier and harder. So the quarterback needs to take a little zip off the ball sometimes today when he's throwing it because he's now throwing a rock. And so that could wear on people a little bit more, right? You might see a few more injuries, at least not, you're out the game kind of injuries, but just where a guy just needs to walk something off a little bit and warm it back up.
Could be some crampage happening today as well, and that typically happens a lot in colder weather, which is why it's so important to hydrate every opportunity that you can in a situation like that.
Balls aren't going to travel as far.
Yeah.
So kickoffs, you probably look for having some more kickoffs. Field goals, again, they're not going to not kick the ball. They don't kick it with their toes like we used to all day. Like, boom, kick it. They're kicking it with the, I don't know what to call this area of your foot, but that part of your foot.
Right.
And so it could affect some of the game today, but it shouldn't be dramatic as a snow game would. Snow game would affect you a little bit
and
more.
And another thing that you got to look at, too, is the turnover battle. Because there's definitely going to be more cause for error in a situation like this because you have to be more careful with all the little things like Chris was saying. So you have to be looking at that aspect as well because that could swing the game one way or another too. So the turnover battle is definitely going to be a key point to watch because, again, with the weather, it is going to be a factor today.
Yeah. You have the inactives. Is that out yet? If you don't mind taking a look at that. And I'm going to go through another comment as you go look at that. Andrew May, Sam Darnold is about to have a really good game. I hope that you guys are ready to see it. Andrew is a big Sam Darnold fan. A really good game? Yeah, so for me, a really good game by Sam Darnold means no turnovers.
Yes.
So that's all he needs to do is to have no turnovers. And, yeah, he could have a really good game. It's going to be, as Andrew says, set the table is set up by Deontay Foreman having a solid game, the front line doing their work up front to make some holes for those guys. As long as those things are happening, then, yeah, Sam could be set up for having a good game today. But he's going to need help with his surroundings. He can't make it a good game on his own.
He's not Cam Newton. Let's not. He could do that, but not Sam. We don't want Sam to be in that position there. Inactives, we're still waiting on them. We're still on standby for that. I don't see anything as of yet, so we'll keep you posted when they do pop up.
We'll continue to talk to everybody out there. 4 more. Home. Yes, we had a chance. Not sure what that comment is exactly meaning, but it sounds like they're watching the game from home, which I don't blame you for doing. You know what? I forgot to go back to something. So let me go back to something.
And while you do that, I do have the inactives now. They have just popped up.
Let's go for the inactives. Listen to this guy for the inactives today.
Here we go. So we have 3 today, just like last week, because of the interesting scenario where Carolina only has 51 players on the roster.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, nobody on the injury report coming to today's game, right?
Because we get rid of guys. I'm just joking.
Or they just ghost us, right?
So what are 3 that we have today?
Yeah, so wide receiver Rashard Higgins.
Hey, how would you feel if you're one of the guys on the inactives, right?
Right.
It's like, man, there's only 3 people that can't play, and I even made that list. And he says that. It says Rashard Higgins, which I feel sorry for because that guy, does he have any stats for us this year?
He did have a snap, I believe, in the Saints game.
Was it a handoff or something?
It was like a reverse, and then he fumbled it. And that was all that we saw out of him, I believe, this whole season. Yeah. So he was supposed to be one of those big pickups that we had in the offseason because of the whole Baker Mayfield, Rashard Higgins connection.
Yeah.
It just never materialized.
Another guy that I like to say, I like him personally. I've talked to him in the locker room several times, and it's just on the field, unfortunately, hadn't been able to produce.
Just no opportunities, right? Offensive tackle Lordell Coleman, another regular on the inactive list. Same thing with defensive end Amari Barno as well, which I wish I would see more out of him. I want to see something out of him because, remember, they did draft him this past offseason. They did. Right? They brought him in for a reason, so give the guy a shot.
Give the guy a shot.
You got to give your young players a shot, especially if you felt like they were in position to, do something for your team this season.
All right, let's go to this next comment here. Hampton Howie Lions are looking past us to the playoffs. We're about to catch them sleeping. I bet those hotel beds were rock hard.
Oh, but they're used to it, though. It's Detroit. They're used to the cold.
Yeah, Detroit should be very used to the cold. I'm sure they have indoor practice facilities, et cetera, and their stadium's actually indoors, but you still live there and have to walk through it every day. So they would have the advantage in that regard. And Hampton, you talked about the playoffs. So let's talk about the playoff possibilities here for this Carolina Panthers team. Let me first show you the current standings for the playoffs.
And there are a lot of scenarios already formulating. I think there were like 10 scenarios for like the entire NFC. With how it stands right now, there are 10 different scenarios and possibilities for how things could shape up as the final 3 weeks of the season start to develop here.
So here's the current standings. Tampa Bay is 6-8. And so let's talk about this Tampa. So it's Christmas Eve, right?
Yes.
And so what happens all across America on Christmas Eve? All the kids cannot sleep tonight because they can't wait to wake up and see all the presents under the tree. That's going to happen a little bit to Carolina Panther fans, right? Because if we win this game today, what are you going to be wanting to see the most? Now, yes, we do control our own destiny if we
sure
win out.
do.
So we kind of don't have to, but you just want that extra cushion. Tampa Bay doesn't play until tomorrow night.
Sunday night football.
Yeah, so it's like Christmas Eve for adults, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, we won. Now I can't sleep because now I got to wait until again, we control our own destiny. So.
Or maybe we can sleep because what if we lose today? What if we lose today? It's like, well,
I've never seen the dark side of you, Andre. Okay. If we lose today, then
well, I guess we'll sleep good tonight because it's like, well, what if Tampa Bay loses too? I mean, if they win, then it kind of just like whatever at that point,
So Andre's showing his dark side
So
today.
there's that aspect of it too, right?
And then here's the rest of the NFC South. A 3-way tie for second. Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta all sitting there at 5-9. Carolina's playing here shortly against the Detroit Lions. The New Orleans Saints play a little bit later on today. I'm sorry, they play at 1 o'clock as well.
I believe so.
And then the Atlanta Falcons play later on today as well. Atlanta Falcons play the Baltimore Ravens at 1 o'clock today. So that's the current playoff picture. Again, the easiest thing is we control our own fate, meaning we went out, we're
Just
in
win.
it.
Just
If we
win.
lose, then we're going to need some help. So that's the current playoff picture for the Carolina Panthers. And let's go through some more comments here. Chance Hines says, "What's up, Chris and Andre? It's game day."
What is up, Chance? Good to see you again. One of our regulars that we have seen over the past couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, I didn't want to show this comment, but I can't be the man of the people if I don't show
Oh,
the comments.
yes.
AJ Lindsay gets to throw pie at me and you.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe just me because I said I was going to do it. He was asking us last week on our show about a sequence in the Pittsburgh Steelers game, which I did not know. And I said, hey, I'm going to watch the film and tell you, and I still haven't done it. So I'm just going to ask that you're in the Christmas spirit. Give me until this Monday show, which is when we do our Ask Me Your Carolina Panthers questions, Andre and I, to answer that question. But as of right now, I have to say.
And as they say, it's better late than never. So just stay tuned and we'll offer our thoughts because I will say on my end too, I did not remember what the heck he was talking about in that situation. So I'm not going to lie. When I say I don't know something, like Chris, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I'll look at the tape as well, and we'll offer our thoughts.
Maybe we should watch the tape together. Some popcorn by the fireplace.
Yes.
Right? Let's sit by the fireplace.
Get some hot chocolate, look at the tape, the all 21 tape.
Sorry about that. We'll continue to work on it. Here we go from Aaron Patton. Merry Christmas Eve to Andre and Chris and to the family.
Yes.
Appreciate it very much.
Merry Christmas to your family as well, Aaron. Thanks for tuning in.
My mom invited you over for dinner.
Oh, did she really?
Yes. Mom, he has plans, but you know.
I do, unfortunately.
He does.
But when the itinerary clears up after the New Year's, right, that will definitely be something that we all have to do, right? Definitely, for sure.
So a little bit more about this game today before we get out of here. Again, we're taking on the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, he's on a hot streak.
He is on a tear.
Yeah. So this is furthermore why this game is going to be a tough game. And I know Andre doesn't have the best feelings about it.
Yeah.
But you know I do. I feel like it's going to be not a pretty game, which is if Steve Wilkes has his way, it will not be a pretty game. It will be a ground and pound, and we should have leading in time of possession.
Yep.
Deontay Foreman should have a lot of carries, Chuba Hubbard, et cetera. But we do have our work cut out for us because last week the Detroit Lions played the New York Jets, which does have a pretty good defense like we do in terms of not saying that they're the best, but it's a solid, respectable defense. And they have a good offense, and they were able to win. So the things that the Detroit Lions do well, again, offensively, they're pretty good. These guys, 4th in total yards per game.
Ooh.
All right, that's good.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah, that's real good.
They're 8th in passing. All right, so we all know that C.J. Henderson got hurt last week. Keith Taylor got exposed. Guys, when you have a cornerback on the opposite side of a guy that's really good, sometimes, yes, all you have to do is say, if I want a completion, I'm just going to throw it to the other side. That could happen today. J.C. Horn could be out there on an island just not doing much, and this guy's just going to go and pick on everybody else that's not covered by J.C. Horn. 8th in passing, 5th in points, with just over 26 points per game. So that takes us to that threshold of what? 17 points.
Yep.
It could quickly get tested. I don't feel like at the beginning of this game that either team is going to be saying we're going to run the ball or we have to run the ball because it's so cold we can't throw it. Because honestly, at the beginning of the game is when you are most warm. Is when you can catch the ball the best. So you'll see at the beginning of the game, I think both teams not alternating their game plan due to weather. They're just going to come out and play like they would play, which I'm saying to say that they could put some points up pretty quickly. And if
Which
they
is
do,
a little scary.
Yeah, if they do,
a little scary.
That could be. That's the worst thing that could happen for the Carolina Panthers today. Not that they score in the first possession because that's only 7 points, but if they score twice and we're down 2 scores, whether that's 10-0 or whether that's 14-0, anything other than the 6-0, 2 field goals, that could be trouble for this Carolina Panthers team.
So we kind of need the exact opposite of what happened last week to take place today because Pittsburgh, they started out pretty quick, and Carolina was already in a pretty significant hole, especially with Sam Darnold in there because he is not known for carrying offenses and having to be in that position to throw the ball and be one-dimensional offensively speaking. So Carolina needs to kind of take control of the game early, and they need to do it often because if they let it slip, especially if Detroit gets the ball first and they're able to score on their first possession, that's going to be a pretty telltale sign of things to come, because that's how things happened last week, and Carolina wasn't really able to kind of get back in the game they had and gained a little bit of traction.
Yeah.
But when you're down for the whole game and you're playing catch-up, that's not ideal for Steve Wilkes and what he's trying to do, which is control the game, time of possession, and running the football.
Yep. So that's going to wrap up our pregame show. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Yes.
We'll continue to do our pregame shows next week versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I look forward to a little bit of warm weather.
Ooh, that's going to be fun, right?
Yeah, that should be pretty good. Hey, so during the game, we're gonna pack up, head on over to the stadium, get in the press box.
Get some food.
Get some food for sure. But I want to invite everybody that's watching to still follow along with us during the game, all right? Andre's going to be manning Twitter. That's the best place to stay in touch with us during the game is on Twitter. All of our social media is Charlotte Vibe, just one word. So who wins the coin toss? Who's been injured? Are they coming back? What's their status? All that kind of like behind-the-scenes information while you're watching the game, we are able to bring it to you. So please switch on over to Twitter once we sign off of here. And then post-game, we will be back indoors. We're not going to be on the field.
Not going to be here.
You will not see us on the field today. Maybe, I don't even know if I'm going to do my post-game video on the field today because it's so cold.
You might have to get me to do it, honestly.
Okay,
so.
if you're willing to. I don't know if I want to stand
prepared.
out there and hold the camera, though, while you do it. But post-game, 30 minutes after this game ends today, whatever time that is, 30 minutes after, Andre and I will be live with your post-game recap, stats, player interviews, coaches talks, all that and more. So please just know that if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Help us get to 6,000 subscribers. Set your reminders as well. But I'm going to tell you now, we're committed to getting on air for the rest of the season.
Yes.
30 minutes after the game ends, we're going to recap the game for you live and interactive. No other media does that where they're interactive, except radio, but we're the only video that does that for you. So I hope that you like that and will join us post-game. Yeah,
I think you wrapped it up, man.
Yeah,
Pretty good. But, yeah, continue to do what he just said. Leave that comment, leave those likes, and, yeah, we're hoping for a victory today because it would be a pretty depressing way to, head out on Christmas Eve and, have to have that doom and gloom cloud over your head. So let's hope for a Carolina victory today, and we'll see you in the post-game show to cover it all. So for Chris and for I and for the Charlotte Vibe.
Do you want to make up the hashtag if they watch to the end?
The hashtag. Ooh, put me on the spot here, man.
It's too cold. It's the hashtag. If you made it to the end, we will always go back to the videos and make sure we comment on everybody that leaves a comment of hashtag. It's too cold.
So do that in the comment section for everybody who made it this far. And again, for the Charlotte Vibe and for Chris and I, we'll see you in the post game and during the game as well.
If we see Luke Kuechly, which there's a pretty good chance.
There's a solid chance.
We're going to find out what he wore to the game in terms of like warmth to keep himself warm. All right? And we'll report that back to you. All right? Take care.
See you, everybody.